Oh man, here they come again.
Here they come again. This still has skin on the skull.
Why do we need more than one CERN? I mean, I have to keep asking myself, if the purpose of CERN is to go down deep underground, this massive footprint that it has, and you're colliding these atoms, these molecules, so much so that you supposedly achieved what you would call the God particle there at the CERN, the original CERN, the big CERN in Geneva. Why do you need one in Nashville? Why do you need one in Chicago? Why do you need one in Chicago? If everybody's doing the same thing, trying to achieve it, why do you need so many CERNs? And then if you really allow yourself to think about it from the perspective that we're talking about it, you begin to realize that probably they're not just, the thing about it, okay, in Tennessee, is the ground so much different in Tennessee that maybe you got a better shot of finding this particle in Tennessee and then this one in Chicago and then this one in Beijing? No, it's got to be more of this is actually opening portals. It's got to be about portals.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at maybe like these ancient structures, so like Stonehenge, and people talk about there's different Stonehenge locations and they're all strategically placed. And I don't know the specifics of it, but there is a place in Michigan. Actually, it's underneath one of the Great Lakes. We don't know where it is underneath the Great Lakes. And if anybody understands, like, Great Lakes are huge. I mean, they're like an ocean themselves. But there's somebody that discovered, and like not somebody like somebody, but somebody that would actually have tools, and maybe let's just call them an archaeologist. I don't know if that's their title, but somebody of that kind of profession. They discovered underneath the water a large man-made stone structure that was extremely similar to Stonehenge.
Wow.
And, the idea is like, well, how'd that get down there? How'd they build that down there? But the reality is more than likely, it was built on top of ice. And when the ice melted, it went underwater. But the fact that we have a Stonehenge type structure here in the Americas underwater, but here in the Americas that mirrors what's over the pond. I'm drawing a blank of what country it's in. It's in the UK. I don't know if it's Wales or what, but the fact that we have that, is that something maybe similar to the idea of maybe the modern Stonehenges being particle accelerators, CERN-like facilities being strategically placed throughout the world. Speaking of that Stonehenge under the water, the reason why we don't know where it's at is because the person who discovered it is refusing to give the location of it. There's pictures of it. You can look it up online, but he's refusing to give a location of it because he doesn't want it being destroyed, and that's probably pretty wise.
Wow.
But anyways, yeah, I mean, it seems like maybe that like we're reinventing the wheel. We see these ancient structures, and you look at Stonehenge. Maybe Stonehenge looked completely different when it was actually in operation of whatever it is. And we're just dealing with more of a nowadays version of that.
Yeah, I agree totally. And you think about pyramids. You think about, how these pyramids, very similar pyramids, are spread out on all the continents, all around the world, when they had no idea, supposedly, that they, were in communication with each other. How in the world does this one mimic in South America look just like what's in different places of Africa and different regions like that? So then you really go down the road of, ancient civilizations and so forth. But I just keep going back to the CERN aspect. The CERN question is, I mean, my simple mind, I'm not a scientist. Quite frankly, I'm not real smart when it comes to things like this, but my simple mind just asks the simple questions. And the simple question is, if your agenda of CERN is to create and find all these scientific experiments when it comes to the colliding of these atoms, and you've achieved just about everything you could have possibly achieve in finding the things. You spent billions and billions and billions of dollars to do this. Why do you need another one? Why do you need a bigger one? Why do you need to go right back on top of Switzerland? And I've got the picture that I'll send it to you that they've released, that CERN's corporation released. This was not made up by anybody else. of the actual footprint of the new CERN that's going to be created. It almost touches Davos. It circles the entire nation of Switzerland. And it's going to take, they say, 20 years, 15, 20 years to build. I mean, my goodness, think of the money that's going to take, the manpower that's going to take. For what, Tony? For what? To collide more atoms? To get more particles? Come on. Look, use your simple mind and ask a simple question. When you add up all the CERNs around the world and all the ones that are planned, you're talking trillions. You're talking trillions of dollars that are being spent underground for something that 99.999% of human beings will never be able to see. It's underneath them. Why? What are you really doing? And that's why I believe that it's not really about scientific experiments. It is about portals. It is about veils. It is about opening things up. In predictive programming, if you follow that theory, one of the things that many in the elite world say as a part of their rule is they begin to have to tell you what they're going to do before they do it, so to desensitize yourself. And you think about, there's an entire generation that's open to portals. All they have to do is watch Stranger Things. When you watch Stranger Things, come on, that place where they tapped into that portal, it's like a miniature version of CERN. I mean, it's CERN. It's the veil opens up and it changes everything. And then there's an upside down world, which is another dimension. I mean, but now to us, when people talk like we're talking, people just sort of laugh it off and say, yeah, you've been watching too much TV. You're watching Stranger Things, and now you're just making up this whole narrative because you saw Stranger Things. No, it's the opposite. Stranger Things has come out because of the real thing, to try to prepare the world for the fact that there are portals opening up all over this world. Why? When you're a student of Scripture, you go all the way back to, you remember when Jesus was taking his disciples right before he was going to be crucified, the Bible says specifically that when he came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, he stopped and he asked him, who do people say that I am? Now, I want you to listen to me. Don't check out because you think a preacher's about to start preaching. This is powerful. This has to do with CERN, what I'm about to tell you in the Bible. It's going to help you understand what CERN is doing. Who do you say that I am? They said, well, some say you're this prophet. Some say, who do you say that I am? They said, we believe that you're the Christ, the Son of the living God. He said, let me tell you something. Upon this rock, I'll build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Many people that's raised in churches heard that term. But until you go to Israel, you don't fully understand what was happening. I've been to Israel. And in Caesarea Philippi, at the base of a mountain called Mount Hermon, is a giant cave. And in that cave, there is a stone pillar that comes right up in the middle. I have video of it. I was standing right there. That has been there since Bible days. It is carved out in the middle, and there's stains all over it from fire and, quite frankly, if I could be so bold as to say, blood, because that's where the sacrifices happen. It was known as the gates of hell. It was known we would call the gates of hell would be the portal of hell. It was known as a portal, a place. It's where Zeus, the temple of Zeus was at, the temple of Pan, where all kinds of pagan demonic worship would happen. And he stood right there at this cave that was known as the gates of hell when he said the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. So he made sure that he waited till he stood at the portal, what was known in his day as the portal of hell, to say, I know you're scared to death to be here. I know your parents told you to stay away from this because of all that happens right here at the base of this mountain. But I brought you here to tell you, we have something in me, meaning Jesus, that's bigger than this. Then, Tony, what's really wild, that's at the base of Mount Hermon. It was a 6-day journey before the Bible says that he goes to the top of the highest place. And that is what is known as the Mount of Transfiguration. I'm not going to preach that right now. But why you need to know that is because all through history, all demonic portals, one of two things happened. They went underground in caves, or they found the highest place and put their altars on the highest place. The highest place, the highest point in all of Israel is Mount Hermon. The highest place of all places is Mount Hermon. And it is in the book. Now watch this. It's not in the 66 books of the Bible. It's not what's known as canonized, but there is a commentary. Many people believe it. Many that watch this have read the book of Enoch. And in the book of Enoch, it emphatically says that the watchers, the demons, the fallen that would become the fathers of the Nephilim and all of that, and all of you know what that is, all began, they came down on Mount Hermon. It emphatically says it. It's the high place. Well, listen to this, Tony. I don't know if you know this. If you Google this, and I challenge everybody to Google this, Google, what is the highest manned, meaning there's people there, United Nations facility in the world? Do you know where it's at, Tony? It's on top of Mount Hermon.
Are you serious? They put it on Mount Hermon?
It's on the top of Mount Hermon. The highest, and it's, all you gotta do is Google it, and you'll see. Just type in, what is the highest manned United Nations facility in the world? And it will say Mount Hermon. And when you go to the top of Mount Hermon, where the watchers came down, where the Nephilim began, the United Nations built a building right on top of where the watchers came down. You want to tell me that's not a portal? And that's also the place where Jesus stood and Moses and Elijah came down and talked to him, a heavenly portal. Beneath it, a demonic portal. That's a hotbed place in the world. So portals are in the Bible. Portals is not something new that people just started talking about when the internet came out. No. They are open places, and Jesus knew that. He took them to the gates of hell, and then he took them to the highest place and said, I'm greater than anything that comes through these portals. Wow.
Yeah.
I know what you're doing. You Googling it. You checking me. Come on, check me out.
No, I was making notes and stuff.
I love it. I love it. I want everybody to watch this, to Google this. Because it's easy to find. When I found out that the highest United Nations manned facility in the world is on top of Mount Hermon, it made me a believer in portals more than anything I've ever done. Is that crazy?
Yeah, no, it's wild. It's wild. I feel that's something I didn't know. And it just kind of makes things kind of fall in line. And you're speaking about Mount Hermon and the portal there, and then you talk about up high and down low. Mm-hmm. And one thing with the down low, CERN having the tunnel ceremony that they had. Oh, I don't remember when it was. It was years ago, probably like 2016, 2017. Mm-hmm. I know it was around the time I started the podcast, and there's so much, symbolism there, but during the and I don't know much about what I'm about to say. This is all kind of new to me, but there apparently are, let's just call them 9 kings. Now I'm talking to kings as in like little g gods. And I don't know, I don't have the proper terminology, but apparently throughout history, there have been these these king types that have been prevalent throughout history. And there's a guy named Chad Riley who is planning his next documentary and tracking these ancient gods throughout history. What I find interesting is, given just that idea of it, during the building of CERN, there were 9 miners who died throughout the building of CERN. And those 9 miners were paid tribute during the ritual ceremony of the tunnel opening.
Yes.
And so I'm sitting here and, you can say, oh, well, that was a really nice gesture that they remembered the 9 people who died during the building of it. And just, let's not forget the fallen. Or knowing what we at least what we think we know about CERN and what's going on there, could the tunnel opening ceremony been some type of ritual to usher in the 9 gods into the modern era all at one time? It's something that I find deeply concerning. And that ritual, that tunnel opening ceremony ritual, and when anybody who watches it,
Unbelievable.
you can't walk away from it and say it wasn't a ritual. Like
Absolutely.
like you watch that and it gives you icky vibes.
Oh, my goodness.
And if you want to say that it's not a ritual, then you have to say it's not a ritual, at the same time acknowledge that CERN has done rituals on their property. There's that video that came out of them doing the ritual on their lawn, and they didn't deny it wasn't real. They denied that it was them being serious. It was them saying I think they came out and said that they were just clowning around, joking. Like that's, again, I've said this before about the scientists at my local particle accelerator, when they said that they openly in 2019 said they were looking for the mirror universe. When we threw our hands up and said, what? They said, oh, we were joking. Scientists don't have a sense of humor.
No.
So I'm sorry. Two particle accelerators, they're both playing jokey with the occult. No. I don't think so.
No.
And so when you see that they did that, and the video comes out of them doing this circle ritual on their front lawn. We know that they have Shiva out there as well.
Yes.
To say that it's a stretch to say that tunnel ceremony was a ritual, I don't think is a stretch at all. The fact that they're willing to, let's just say, at the very minimum, joke about doing rituals. I mean, come on. Like when's the last time you went into your place of employment and that day they all decided to joke around and play a satanic ritual?